In this lecture, we are going to finish out the blog functionality of this website by making it so that when we click on a blog, it actually takes us to that specific blog post and the image is a little bit bigger. We can see more of the text. But first, I want to change a few things right here. So the first one is if we have a really long blog post, I don't want there to be the whole blog post. I just want there to be essentially a summary of the text. So to kind of showcase why this could be a problem, let's go ahead and go to our admin page. And in fact, I'm going to set that up in another tab. So let's do our localhost /admin. Let's go into our blog. So for one of these blogs, I love to write fancy things. Let's go ahead and do a space there. And we are just going to copy and paste this a gajillion times. In fact, let's copy that and then paste that even more. And then we will go ahead and save that. Okay. So now that we have this, when we reload this page, it's like, whoa, you can tell like this is way too much text that should be showing up here. So we want to find a way to sort of not have as much text there, maybe just like a little preview of what there is to come. So what we can do is if we go to our model, let's go to our models here inside of the blog app. We can add some extra functionality here, some functions that are going to make it so that we can only return like a certain portion of the title. So for example, let's make a function here that we are going to call summary. Okay. And remember, inside of classes, if you are going to have a function method, you've got to make sure that you have self as one of the parameters. But then in this case, we could return not just the title, but only a certain part of the title. So this is really cool with strings. In Python, you can just say, I want to return the title, and then you can put these little colon brackets, and excuse me, it's not the title, it's the body that's the big one. So we can say return body and then colon 100. That just says give me up to the first 100 characters, okay? And I also forgot we need to say self.body so we can reference the specific body property for that individual object. But once we have this, if we go ahead and save this, now we can use this summary function. So if I go back to my allblogs.html, rather than show the blog.body, I can do blog.summary, just like that. So we'll save this. And now when I reload the page here, ooh, look at that. It sort of caps it at a certain space here. So you can decide what that appropriate space is going to be. But maybe 100, that's the right one here. The next one, the time. I don't love that it shows the exact minute that this happened. Like, that's not great. So again, we can provide a custom function here inside of our model to make that look that much better. So I'm going to call this pub_date, just like we have here, but then underscore pretty to say this is like the pretty version of that. So again, we want to pass in self colon, but now we are going to return, and this is where we're going to say self.pub_date. And watch me on this one. This is a little bit tricky. strf time. And then in parentheses, we want to pass in a string with the following. So %sign lowercase b, %sign e, and %sign capital Y. So first just check and see that this works, right? So if we save this, we have this now pub date pretty, so we can go back to our allblogs.html. Instead of doing the boring old pub date, we can go ahead and paste that in, save. And ooh la la, it's showing up, as February 26, 2018. But if you're wondering, how can I customize the date and time? Hopefully you'll love this as much as I do. But if we go into the models and just search for this strf time. So go copy this and then just in Google, go search for that. There is some amazing websites out there that people have made that essentially break down what you need. So this Python strife time reference, right? So this website's going to tell you what all the little letters mean, right? And so you can totally customize a date to look like exactly how you want it to. And so anyways, lots of cool stuff out there. I thought I'd let you know about that. Okay. So that sort of fixes what we have here. One more thing that I want to talk about is here inside of the Django admin. Something that's pretty frustrating is that if you are trying to find a particular blog post, if you wanted to go edit it, like for example, I'm on my home page and I want to say, you know what, Cheese is my new friend. Maybe I want to put an exclamation point after that. When you come look at this view to view all the blogs, you can't tell instantly what one that is. It's like blog object 1 and 2. Well, that's helpful, right? But what you can do is you can add another function onto the model here. Let's go ahead and add a new function. So we're going to say def, and for this, we are going to say underscore underscore str underscore underscore parentheses self colon, and this is the name that's used whenever the Django admin is trying to display that particular object. So in this case, we could just simply say return self.title, and if we do this, then reload the admin page, let's try that one more time. Look at that. Now we get the name of these posts. So it's like, oh, I've got to go change that post called Cheese is my new friend, and boom, you click on that, and then you now know exactly which one that is. And there's tons more customization that you can do with the admin panel. You can, be listing the dates and times so that you can organize by those and get to the one you need. But I thought that was kind of a cool feature that I could show you. So with all of this, the next thing that we need to do is say, okay, if someone comes to the blog page and they want to click on my first blog, they want to check that out, we need to have a way to display one blog post and not just a summary of its post, but like the full body there so that somebody can read it. So first thing that we've got to do is we've got to set up the URLs for this. And essentially at the end of the day, what we want to do is we want to have the name of our website /blog/ and then the ID for each of these posts. So remember, everything that's saved into the database has an ID field. And so like this is blog 1, for example, then this is blog 2. So if I go to blog/1, I would want it to show our very first post. And if I go to blog/2, I want it to go to the next post, right? You kind of get the vibe that's going on there. So to set that up, we need to go, because it's a /blog thing here, right? /blog/1. Remember, this has been forwarded to our urls.py that's inside of the blog app. So inside of here, we need to create a new path that will handle this situation. So what we're going to do is first on this path, we need to set the matching string pattern. And this is the exciting part. So inside of here, do caret brackets, opening and closing. And we're going to say int : blog _ ID, and then after that a slash. And essentially what this says is look for an int after the /blog, and we're going to save that quote unquote as blog ID. So after you, and this might not make sense right now, but go ahead after this, do a comma. We want to send it to one of our views functions. So we're going to say views.detail. We haven't created a detail function, but will be in a second. And let's give this the name of something like detail. So we'll say detail there. So we'll go ahead and save this. Like now we need to have a detail function. So we're going to go over to our views.py and we'll say, you know what, let's define a new function detail where we have a request, but we not only pass in a request, but we also pass in whatever name we have specified right here. So if we're looking for an int and we want it to be matched as a blog ID, we're going to take blog ID exactly how it is, and we're going to paste it right there. So now when someone goes to, for example, blog/1, goes to the blog apps urls.py, and it says, oh, /1, that's an int. Because it's an int, I'm going to save that as blog ID. I'm going to call the view.details. And when I do that, I'm going to pass in the request, but I'm also going to pass in whatever the blog ID is. And with that blog ID, we can then go to the database and say, hey, we've got ID number 1. Can you give us all the information for that particular blog? And, Mr. Postgres will give that back to us. What am I saying, Mr. Postgres? But anyways, we get that information back, and then we can display it on the website. So how do we go grab that information out of the database? Well, we're going to use a really cool function here. And first we've got to import this functionality. So after render up at the top, do a comma, space, and then this is long, get _object _ 404. So the basic idea with this function is it either gets an object from the database or it spits back a 404 object to the user saying, hey, we weren't able to find this. So that's kind of cool functionality. There's other things that you can do to specifically grab one and then custom handle whether you want to show that 404 page or not. But if someone goes to blog/3 and we don't have a blog with the ID of 3, that's when we'd want to send them to our 404 page. And if you don't know what a 404 page is, it's basically the page on a website that says, hey, you were looking for something, but we don't have what you're looking for, right? You gave us a URL request that we can't fulfill. So that's the whole idea behind that. So with this get object or 404, we can say get underscore object or 404. And then in parentheses, you first have to pass the name of the type of model you're looking for, which for us is capital blog, and then comma, say the primary key, and the primary key is how it looks it up in the database. So PK for primary key is equal to, and we're just going to set it equal to that blog underscore ID. Okay. So with all of that, we want to save our object into a variable. So I'm going to say blog is equal to this. And in fact, if we want to be really specific, we could say detail blog is equal to this. Then what we can do is go ahead and return a render. All right. Of course, want to pass forward that request, but we also want to pass an HTML. Maybe we'll call it like detail.html. And I've got to forget that, I got to remember it's going to be blog/detail.html. And then let's pass forward a dictionary of something like, this detail blog. Let's just call it a singular blog, though. In this case, we'll say blog is equal to the detail blog. Excellent. So now we're able to pass this forward. Let's go ahead and make a detail.html, new file, detail.html. Great. Then, just for the time being, to make sure this is working, let's go ahead and print out whatever blog.title is, and this will tell us if things are working. So let's go ahead and reload this page. Look at that. When I go to /blog/1, it shows the title for that blog. If I change it to /2, boom, it shows it for the next one. So just to kind of go back here, I'm going to do the full flow. Someone passes in localhost 8000 /blog/2. Where it first comes is into the project's urls.py. It says, oh, there's a blog there. I'm going to send it over to the blog urls.py. So then it comes to this file and it says, oh, you have after blog a /2. Oh, that's an int. So I'm going to save that as blog ID. Then I'm going to call this view.details, which is right here. And I'm also going to pass in that blog ID. We look it up from the database and we return that back with detail.html. Then in detail.html, we show the title. How cool is that? The whole process of how everything works there. It's just awesome. Okay. So that I'm not just, spending all this time on one lecture, I kind of want to keep these chunked out. Don't want you to get too brainwashed here. I'm going to end this lecture, but in the next one, I'm going to teach you how to work with static files, and then we'll have a final lecture where we just sort of polish everything, and that includes showing everything inside of a blog post. So just kind of go ahead and wait on this for a second. We're going to leave this prematurely, but we'll come back and finish this, make it look great.